Hello and welcome to today's Partner Infopedia web conference. This is Azure Migration Automated and Optimized with SurPaaS. Kicking us off today is our Microsoft host, Jason Delorme, who is a Partner Business Evangelist. Jason, you now have the floor.
Thanks, Debbie. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Corent Microsoft Joint Infopedia webinar. We're pleased to have Shafi Sayed, the CTO of Corent Technology, and Scott Shate here to walk us through how SurPaaS enables applications to be automatically analyzed, migrated, and optimized for Azure. Shafi, if you can take over.
Okay. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, everyone, for joining this webinar. This is Shafi Sayed, CTO of Corent Technology. We have the structure for this webinar as follows. There is going to be a presentation that I'm going to do, and in between two decks of presentation, there will be a demo. And then after that, Scott Shate from our team will take over and then handle the closing as well as take care of the question and answer sessions. So with that, let me get started to introduce Corent on what we do and how we are enabling the Azure migration through SurPaaS from an automated and then optimization perspective to actually help customers migrate their applications to the cloud. Now, Corent is in business to help customers, particularly the ISVs and the enterprises, get their applications to the cloud, make the entire process easy, and then helping them in migrating these applications to SaaS, getting them enabled as SaaS, deploying them as SaaS, and then managing them. So it's a two-step process of taking them to the cloud as well as managing them as SaaS. Now, to do that, what we specialize in, or putting the company's perspective, is the ability to analyze applications, understand what they do, what the workloads are, and make the recommendations towards cloud enablement. And if necessary, they want to SaaS enable and deploy them as SaaS, we do that as well. So ability to analyze applications is what we actually provide as part of our platform SurPaaS. And then we provide the methodology to cloudify applications by understanding what kind of resources are required, provisioning them, making sure the operations are taken care of, and then migrating these applications to the cloud. And then, if desired, SaaS enabling the applications with all the operations and SaaS enablement technology built into the application that can be deployed and managed as a multi-tenant, fully instrumented SaaS. So this is what we do at Corent, and all that is being done through an integrated platform, which is SurPaaS. Now, within the platform, there are three areas that we focus on. Is the ability to assess applications. This is one of the most important problems that most system integrators, partners such as managed service providers or hosting service providers are facing, is the ability to walk into an enterprise or an ISV, helping them look at their portfolio of applications, assessing them of how they can actually be migrated to the cloud. Now, that is the assessment aspect, and we provide an analysis tool called SurPaaS Analyzer that takes care of that, and then help the customers towards a cloud migration with the Shift product that we have. And once it is shifted, we take care of the operations. And on the other hand, what you see at the bottom is a flow that actually takes care of the SaaS enablement as well. So we have a mature suite of technologies that are embedded in SurPaaS Transform, which actually enables an application to be SaaS enabled, packaged, and deployed and manages operations. It also comes with the entire commercial engine, starting with the metering platform for usage-based metering. All that can be encapsulated and made available and readily deployable through the SurPaaS platform, which works on any public and private cloud technologies, particularly optimized for Azure here, and that is what we'll be seeing in the rest of the presentations. Now, the focus of this presentation mostly is towards the cloud enablement, and then we'll touch upon the SaaS aspect as well. So mostly we will deal with the analysis as well as the cloudify, walk you through the process of how it is automated, how it actually optimizes and makes it easy for customers to migrate their applications to the cloud. So starting with analysis, the analyzed product. Whenever there is a portfolio of applications, whoever is analyzing, such as the architects or the product managers, or even in the case of system integrators who are being brought in to assess application, the first thing that you want to look at is a very quick feasibility, an analysis of the application to see if it can migrate to the cloud. That is the first step. A very quick assessment goes a long way here in actually even prioritizing the kinds of applications that you would take to the cloud. Once it is done, then the next step starts. Questions such as what does it take technically? Anything ranging from the aspects from the architects to the product managers to IT professionals have a lot of questions on the operational aspects of cloud migration. So the second part of the analysis that we provide is the ability to provide all the operational characteristics of migration, not just one application, but multiple applications, right from assessing the workloads, coming up with the recommended topologies, how you can deploy them on the cloud, taking care of the technical aspects. So it doesn't end there. Once it is done, you do need a business decision maker to qualify, make sure that the right aspects are considered primarily from a business perspective. And that is where you see the business analysis that not only helps you model the cost based on the hard costs such as the VMs or what is the cloud expense that is going to be, but also considering the soft costs such as the personal and the different aspects of services that are required to migrate the application and manage them on the cloud. All that is actually modeled within the business analysis. And lastly, the fourth aspect of analysis is the SaaSability analysis to see whether this application is suitable for SaaS and what are the aspects of the application that you can determine or assess so that you can take this to SaaS right from the cloud and deploy and manage them as a service. So these are the four major aspects of the analysis that the SurPaaS analyzer does. And we'll walk through the different aspects of how we do that. The starting point is your existing infrastructure. It can be your set of servers, on-prem servers, or if you're already running a local cloud that you actually want to enhance and then bring them onto Azure, or if you're running anything on a different cloud that you're actually contemplating how you can migrate these applications to the cloud, that is the starting point. You have a group of servers that you want analyzed, and you can get the process of analysis started with the analyzer. And the first thing it does is through a customizable knowledge base, scans the servers to create what's called as the workload map, not just for one application, but multiple applications. So once you create a workload map, going all the way to the details of micro workloads, which all contribute towards a proper functioning of these applications. The knowledge base contributes to recognizing these workloads and also making determination of how it can actually migrate to the cloud. All that is available through a dynamic mechanism of a knowledge base that can be very rapidly enhanced and added by us or by the customers themselves. Now, once you have the workload map established, this gives you a very fair idea on how you would actually like to deploy these applications. Not necessarily in the original configuration. If you have an app running on 3 machines, it's not necessarily you have to migrate them to 3 VMs on Azure. You could migrate them in different forms for simple tests and tests or even a quick checks with the development and a DevOps kind of an environment. You can put it on a single VM, or you can distribute it in any way and then deploy them on the cloud all the way up to a scalable configuration for production. Now you have the option with the SurPaaS analyzer to analyze the what-if scenarios, particularly from the technical aspects of deployment, different architectures that you can choose, different topologies that you can map to. And then once you have done that, now you can very quickly start looking at the Azure's infrastructure and see how they map, particularly the choice of the architectures that you have made, how they can map onto the cloud, the right topology, how they fit into the different VMs, how they can be configured and made to work. And finally, once it is all done, then you can initiate the process of shift. So looking at the information that actually comes from your existing infrastructure, looking at this information hierarchically from a workload perspective to an architecture perspective, all the way to how you would deploy them on the cloud, and then finally, with all the knowledge that you gathered, initiating a shift with one click and then moving the applications to Azure is pretty much the sizing up the technology that is embedded within the SurPaaS analyzer. Now, looking a little more detail into how the scanning and the analysis happens, as we start the process of scan, this takes anywhere between 1 minute to about 5 minutes on each server. We not only look at the normal inventory items, but also we do a lot deeper analysis, such as the infrastructure, the frameworks, the interfaces, and the kinds that the application uses, anything that is external. All this is captured as we actually scan these servers in about 2 to 5 minutes. If you have multiple servers, you can even line up hundreds that can be scanned all in parallel, and that's about the time it takes. And it is a one-time process. Once the scanning is complete, then we're actually ready to do the analysis. Analysis normally runs through about a minute or two to actually gather the different approaches or the what-if scenarios that the system would present, and then you can interact with the system to start with looking at the different approaches towards how do you manage the workloads, get a very good look at how these workloads interact with each other as well as the applications, come up with your architecture and topology choices. And then as you look at these choices, you could make a decision on what is available on Azure as PaaS services, any database as a service, any authentication as a service, anything that is part of the application that can very quickly be used as a PaaS feature within the cloud. You can match against that, and it actually provides more information related to that. And then as you walk through these pieces of information, you can get to a more detailed analysis on compliance, any compliance checks that are required that you would actually match against the cloud, as well as looking at the operations and the business considerations. So all these analysis is made available through the what-if scenarios, and then now you do have the option. Once you have made a choice, you can successively refine them as different plans, which we call as the cloud plans, multiple plans, successive refinement until you reach the one that you like, and then use that plan to very quickly migrate your applications to the cloud. So this is what the scanning and the analysis does within the SurPaaS analyzer. Now the modes that are available for scanning, as I said, about 2 to 5 minutes on each server. You could be facing several methods enforced by the IT or the internal infrastructure groups of the enterprises before you start the scan. Some of them would actually allow, that actually gives you the ability to do a remote scanning, which means you can use SurPaaS Analyzer available on Azure, and then you can set up the environment and state the IP addresses and provide the method to log in through remote means, and then run the scanner on these servers to get the information about the applications. So now, if these servers are not exposed directly to the internet or do not have the authentication, then you can choose to do a manual scanning, which means download the agent and you can internally install them and then run the scanner. And this information is brought back, and then you can do further analysis. Or you can install on a single server within the network, and that actually does an internal network discovery and then pulls all the information that is needed on the multiple servers, so you don't have to install on all the servers. Finally, if you still have any restrictions based on any IT policies, and if the information is available, some customers might say, well, I have all this information that you're looking for. We provide templates. And once the information is made available in the templates that we need, you can load them up, not one server, but hundreds of servers, and then start the analysis from that point onwards. So what you see here is working with our partners, such as system and integrators and managed service providers, we see all these different methods and policies being used within the internal enterprise and the ISVs that you could actually leverage in one or the other form that is convenient to you, and then scan the servers to actually get the information that you need. So once the scanning is done, the analysis starts with the what-if scenarios, mostly dealing with the operations and the business analysis. I'll be showing that in the demo in a little bit. And also, Particularly for partners or the people who work with partners in the audience, we do have a customizable knowledge base, which pretty much is used for branding the entire SurPaaS analyzer. You could have your own installation, and now you can serve multiple ISVs or different enterprises by provisioning them and then run all their applications for the cloud migration, starting with the analysis. And as you do that, you can customize the knowledge base to the kinds of rules that you want, the kind of data that you want presented, the different options that you want. All this is customizable just to reflect the kind of analysis that you would do, particularly for your customer base. And this is what happens within the what if scenario analysis, the methodology within the analyzer. And once you have done the analysis, then you can get to the shift, and now you can leverage the SurPaaS shift by finding the right options that the customer needs to migrate to a specific Azure data center or multiple data centers. It can also be within a private environment that they would like to migrate their applications into as a cloud. That is also possible. And you have multiple methods of shifting the applications. We call it Smart Shift, where it automatically builds the necessary mechanisms for you and then enables the migration process. Or you can make a hybrid by actually doing a synchronization between your servers and the target systems. Set it up such that the data automatically gets shifted, and then sets it up for you where you can, all you need to do is go and configure and start up the VMs. So you have a lot of flexibility in terms of how you migrate the applications to Shift onto Azure, right from your on-prem infrastructures or your existing infrastructure that you're working with. The SurPaaS analyzer gives you a lot of information. It is mostly structured as a very dynamic, interactive reporting mechanism where you actually go in, look at the dashboard of the things that you're analyzing, particularly for a number of applications. And then you can go and look at all the different what-if scenarios, particularly from a cost modeling. You can go and make changes to how you actually model the environment. And at the same time, you could also get a summary analysis, also get guidance on how you would work with workloads, plan your topologies, make those decisions, and eventually look at the guidance on the SaaSability as well. So I will show that in the demo in a few minutes. This is structured for not only an ISV to utilize the capability of the tool, but it is also structured for any services partner, such as a managed service provider, any hosting provider, or a system integrator working very closely with Microsoft. They can actually have this installation available, customize it to their needs, and then now they can deliver the entire analysis and cloud migration as a service through the SurPaaS Analyzer and SurPaaS Shift as a mechanism or a guidance mechanism for you. We support the analysis on multiple platforms. We look at all kinds of applications as possible, and the different technologies from the servers right at the operating system. They work with Linux, Windows, as well as Unix. And you have the list on Linux, Red Hat, Ubuntu, the CentOS. The most popular versions that are available, we support them all. On Windows, we actually support the Windows Server, any server-based technology we would scan. And at the same time, on Unix, we support all three major forms of the Unix variations as well. So you should be able to run the scanner on all these machines, make decisions, and then start planning your strategy towards migrating them to Azure, and then the system would actually provide you the alternatives and the choices that are available for Azure, which is optimized and tuned. With this, I would like to switch to the demo. It'll take a minute or two to get this set up. I think while I do that, Scott, if you could jump in while I set this up.
Sure, thanks, Shafi. So I just wanted to mention to everyone that after the live demo, we'll have a slide talking about our special offer for webinar registrants, where we're giving you a chance to see this application, SurPaaS Analyzer, running on a variety of different sample apps that we've taken through this process of cloudification, and we'll take them through the analysis and do that. So stay tuned for that.
Okay. I'm presenting my the desktop, the view of the application. Just want to check if you're able to see my browser.
Looks great.
Okay, thank you. So this is the dashboard. So this is provisioned for one particular customer, let's say, as an example. In this demo environment, you see about 10 applications in here, and the dashboard summarizes some to give you an overview of the different applications that are here, looking at the applications mostly from a heat map perspective on the cloudability aspect for Azure. Now, you could, once you look at the different applications or how they are presented, come back to the dashboard to see how it actually summarizes for you. Looking at the applications, you can start with creating or add a new application here, and then provide the information about the application, or even pull in the files. Particularly if there are hundreds of servers that need to be analyzed, you can bring them all up and then start the process of analysis. Here we have analyzed about 10 applications here, and they appear in this form as a network view, giving the different IP addresses that have been scanned and how they've all been correlated with the different applications that you recognize. About 10 applications here. You can look at different views of a summary of these applications in the form that you're looking at. Now with this, you can narrow down to go look at each application as it has been set up. I'm going to give you an example of a JTrack, a simple Java-based tracking application, just to keep it simple for the demo. You would start with setting this application up. Once you have added the application, provide that information, such as what is the IP address. And to start the scan, you need to give the login credentials. And once you've given the credentials to the server and initiate the scan, it goes, scans the information and brings in the details. And here is the cloud that you actually have Azure available. And also you can select that along with any compliance or security requirements that you probably would have. By looking at the details here, you can see what any compliance needs that you would need to be considered during the analysis. And then once you start the process of analysis, which takes about a minute or two to complete the analysis. It comes back with a very quick report stating that this particular application is cloudable, and gives you the breakdown of the different aspects and the workloads that were discovered. Not just active workloads, but inactive workloads can be looked at as well. And then it gives you a summary view of the deep scan that we have done of the application by looking at different aspects of things that it actually utilizes. Not only the workloads, the different frameworks, the network, the operating system hardware, different platforms and interfaces that it is using, and then gives a rating on what has been recognized and how it would match against Azure. Here what you see is if you get a very high rating, such as 5, that means that this application can readily migrate to the cloud. And if you get something simpler, you can look at the detailed view to get additional information on what kind of other requirements you might have when you're migrating apps to the cloud, and in order to make it scalable. Certain things like how you would look at the volumes that needs to be attached or detached, any licensing requirements, any version mismatches between what you're using versus what is available on the cloud. Kind of would lower the value by a little bit, but still it is supported and you can actually migrate them to the cloud. Then comes the other aspects, such as different constraints, which may require retooling or replatforming for that application. Mostly, these are very interesting for services or system integrators who would like to jump in and provide their expertise in the cloud migration. And this is helpful for such partners of yours who could actually utilize this technology with a rating scheme that is available on the feasibility analysis to get the information. As I mentioned, that we are doing a deeper scan of the application by looking at its internal technologies. We have even scanned this application to its internals all the way to the interfaces that it's using, any kind of frameworks that it actually utilizes. We are able to track that. And this is very useful, not only in making decisions for migrating to the cloud, but also making decisions on the SaaS enablement of the application as well. And these are all matched and optimized towards whether this will work with Azure or not, and then making those decisions available and then percolating it up to the heat map. You also get to see information about the database. So this gives you a very quick summary, particularly if you're planning on data migration how to plan your data approaches towards whether it is to be managed as a data migration or any data syncing or even any files and folders or any kind of non-database related data that you would migrate. You should be able to make those decisions to actually start at this point, look at the information, and then manage, come up with a plan starting with the size of what is available. So this is a simple application as an example that was set up. So you see the size less, but as you see the size increasing and the complexity, that helps you in the migration planning effort. And then the least of all the details that we provide is the inventory of the hardware, the internal infrastructure of that particular application, as you can see here. Now, what is interesting is once this is done, you could actually switch to the operation analysis. Now, what this provides you is more technical, particularly for architects and people who would like to make decisions, particularly on deployment, on the IT, the infrastructure, and how to utilize the different aspects of the current application that can be deployed on Azure and then leverage what a cloud has to provide for. This gives you the information about the database being used, any alternatives or the PaaS features within Azure that you can actually utilize, makes a recommendation here, and also provides you based on the knowledge of the application. You actually get different topologies that you can actually deploy this app onto the cloud. Starting with the original topology here, you could actually get more details on, well, I would like to have it distributed where it's a single server JTrack application with database embedded. I would like to separate the database out. 2 VM configurations. What if I need backup, particularly for my database, for disaster recovery? I need an architecture that can be deployed that way. And then you can say, well, now provide me a high availability architecture where give me the load balancers, any domain controllers that are required, and then how they actually could be utilized, all the way to whether I need a high performance architecture or I need a system that needs to be deployed in 2 different regions in a hard swap like configuration in 2 regions that needs to be managed. Now you can appreciate the way this architecture is presented, 2 mirrored architectures, 2 regions, and how you would deploy and scale the architecture. So this is right out of a single server application, which has an app server and a database, providing you all the different combinations that is possible for you to deploy on a cloud, leverage the capability of the cloud in terms of utilizing it to the best that you can, all the way from simple or the original topology all the way to a high performance or a hot topology that you could deploy the architecture on. In addition, we actually look at the internals of the database and then get additional information for you, such as the complexity. Does it have any procedures, triggers, any functions that are required, the sizes of the tables that you can assess. This goes a long way in planning your migration strategy, particularly from a database perspective. So this actually sets it up for what is the assessment for the complexity of the database that you will be migrating with. And also, from a reporting perspective, it outlines the aspects that you need to consider. I'm just expanding these 5 sections here. Gives you some of the additional considerations that you do need to plan from a business perspective, that having an effective cloud migration strategy and its ongoing operations, essential to consider not all of them, but a majority of these items that are actually listed that you would like to take into considerations. So from a reporting, it gives additional information for a technical person who is planning on the migration and then working with that team to start working on the business aspects of the analysis. So now you can go on to doing the business analysis, which actually gives you a better modeling capability, gives you different considerations of the topology, and then gives you for each of the architecture or the topology for Azure, you can look at the different aspects here. Now, instead of working on this on the base plan where it is all seeded with zeros, in fact, any customization you can actually have pre-seeded with the right values. What I'm going to do is do the successive refinement of this analysis by creating a new cloud plan. By just clicking on this, you just name a plan and then it comes up. And there you can actually do your successive refinement. Just in the interest of time, it takes about half a minute to create it. There's one that is already created, which is a scenario that I'm actually optimizing for costs. And the analysis, as you can see, has already been done. And now going on to the business analysis for this refined scenario, I can go and start making changes in the cost. I can do a modify cost, pick up a particular topology. Here is the original topology. I want to deploy it as is. Now I can start adding in not just the web server cost, which is the published cost of Azure for that particular architecture, what it's going to cost them. You can look at the soft considerations. There are about 16 factors that were originally recommended in the technical analysis, the operations analysis. Now you can start adding values to it. Or do I need an application lifecycle management? Do I need any managed services, initial cost, and any recurring cost that I need on a monthly basis? Then any other aspects such as quality assurance or any data storage needs that I would like to put in, an initial cost versus recurring cost for additional storage per month as an example. And then adding all this, whether you need any quality assurance before production or ongoing quality assurance that is required, any kind of SLA management or disaster recovery plan. You can actually add these aspects to it when you're modeling the cost. Not just that, if there is any re-platforming or retooling needed based on the heat map that we suggested, now you can make the changes here on services cost. In addition to that, you can always add more items that are suited just for that application, and then you can save the results, and as you save, you actually get the charts of that actually gives you what is your initial cost of migration versus the recurring cost that not only is a combination of the cloud costs, but also the accumulation of all the services and all the other personal costs that are required in actually managing the migration. Now, you can do that not just for this, but you can also do that for different architectures. As you can see, I have put in the cost, and now you can synchronize the cost with the different cloud plans and then make the analysis more robust, that you actually can have these charts available, particularly for decision makers to track over time, recurring, as well as the initial cost of migration that you would plan. So this rounds up the analyzer as it analyzes the different applications. Now you can do that not just for one app, but for all the applications that are brought in for analysis. And these reports can be printed, and then now you can take it to the decision maker for approval. It makes things easy from an approval perspective, as well as for getting a sense of what it takes to migrate applications to the cloud. And also we have the SaaS ability analysis that actually gives you, well, this application, to what level of SaaS enablement it can happen. We actually have these 3 levels of SaaS of how you would deploy these applications onto the cloud and then manage the different operations, giving the different deployment models and methodologies, and also from the internal instrumentation and software patterns that are recognized, give you a better overview of the operation services, as well as the business services that are actually required when you want to manage these apps as SaaS, all available from the SurPaaS platform, giving you a complete overview from a reporting perspective of the things that you need to deliver this app as SaaS. So with that, I would like to switch back to the presentation and show you how the application can be migrated using Shift. Being in this particular scenario that we actually as the cloud plan, you can now click on this to create from this particular cloud plan. You can actually create a Shift plan. Here you've made all your choices, all your discoveries, and come up with the architectures that you would actually like to migrate to, and then create a Shift plan. And once you create a Shift plan, you should be able to set this entire application automatically to shift to Azure. I'll show that as a deck of slides just to save time, then switch back to the presentation for you. So
there we
as
go.
yeah, thank you. Debbie. So right after the analysis, we have collected a lot of information about the application, its workloads, and the SurPaaS system knows what it actually takes to migrate these workloads to the cloud, and you've also made your choices on the original architecture and decided on the topology that you would like to do, and also have done the business analysis of what is the exact cost you will incur as you migrate the application. So when you click on creating a shift plan, this is the screen you get. You give a name, and then you can select the topology that you would actually want to start with, or the cloud plan from which you want to create a shift plan. And then the system automatically sets the entire system up for you in a few minutes to give you the choices of this is the original application topology that you have scanned and analyzed, and gives you the options of the different topologies that you have done your business as well as your operations analysis on. Now you can select the target topology. Here it is a one server JTrack application, and here what you see is a two server or a 2 VM configuration that you want to deploy it on. So now you can look at these choices. You can click on each of the elements, choose your workloads. If you want to add additional workloads, you can do that, or reassign the workloads. Check the server configurations, make changes if you need. If you want to change them, make them better than what the system is recommending, you could do that as well. And once it is done, then you can actually move to the next stage where you can actually initiate the shift. So you will be providing the credentials to your Azure account, and once you provided the credentials, it is saved in the system, and then now you can actually start the entire migration process flow. It builds the two stages, the first being the infrastructure, and the other is the migration of workloads. So it sets up 2 VM needed, and it knows the configuration of the VMs, and then it automatically provisions these on Azure. And once the provisioning is done, you're notified the provisioning is complete, and immediately work through the migration of the workloads. Now here what you see are the different workloads, in addition to how it is installed, set up, the data and the other pieces through scripts are being migrated. All this is set up internally. In addition to that, you also have the option of adding in your own scripts, your own custom methodology to enhance what the system is doing, and at the same time come up with the configuration that you can establish. So here in our case, we are able to migrate the JTrack application from a source to the Azure destination, and then bring this application up all automatically without any human intervention. Now you can see the progress as the cloud provisioning is being done. Says how the provisioning has happened, how the IP addresses have been assigned, and how they're brought up. Check the status, whether it is running, and any agent installation that is required also is taken care of. And then once you have the necessary infrastructure set up, then you would go on to installing the different workloads that are required for migrating your applications to the cloud. Now, in addition to that, you can actually do more than just the installation. If you have other workloads that you want to migrate, in addition to the application and its specific workloads, or any data that is related to your application that needs to be migrated, then you can initiate a synchronization mechanism, which gives you more flexibility and better control, or a precise control over the entire migration process. Now you can fine-tune this migration by synchronizing your source and destination folders. You can have information all across the globe that you can set this up in a manner that you can synchronize all this to be dumped directly onto the Azure servers where your application is running, and then set up your configuration scripts to work with. It also gives you the ability to add new scripts that you want added, or use any system scripts for any sequence in terms of a restart of your applications or any process that needs to be restarted, and then fine-tune any existing scripts that are there and then load them back up so that they can all be run. So you can initiate the process. As you can see, the additional steps that you just added more from a hybrid deployment perspective or actually brought in, and now you can play them so that the infrastructure setup is done. In addition to that, you can run through the different workloads to be installed to migrate your application. And in addition to that, any flexible options that you need for additional data migration that needs to be done, any data information that needs to be synchronized with the target servers, you can do that as well. Now, as you have done that, now you'll be bringing this application up and it is running. Just want to very quickly wrap up to the third part that we do at Corent is the ability to SaaS enable the applications. Now, in this case, you looked at the SaaSability report that said that this application is SaaSable to a particular level. And the way that we go about SaaS enabling applications is completely automated. To the extent that all you need to do is have this application installed on the cloud, which the analyzer and the shift takes care of that. Once the application is available, then now you initiate a process on SurPaaS called SaaSify. And what it does during the process of SaaSification is look at the application, determine what kind of tenancy models that is best suited for this particular application, to what level it can handle in its original form. This is without re-architecting the application. So once this information is assessed by SurPaaS, then it will start adding in the entire operations model, which is how do you start managing the tenants, that is tenant provisioning, all the way to how you set up the monitoring and the reporting that is required, any deployment decisions you need to make, how you manage the SaaS application lifecycle. All this is set up as part of the operations engine that is connected with the application. And then we actually bring in the entire commercial services as well. So when you deliver it as SaaS, how do you manage the subscription? How many subscriptions you need? What is the billing service interface that is required? Do you need any usage-based metering for your application that needs to be set up from what is being monitored? And also any channel or franchise optimization that you need to do. Can the SaaS now be delivered to your existing channels in different global regions? You can set that up as well. And also any marketplace related integration that you need to do that can be set up as well as part of the entire SaaSification effort. So this what we call now as the software defined SaaS, a methodology where you go through the wizard to define what you really need, right from the tenancy management to your operational management model to your commercial management model for your SaaS. Set that up such that all this is packaged, integrated, and then now you actually get a SaaS application that can now be deployed in the cloud and managed as SaaS. So what this essentially brings to the table from a very high level perspective is when you have an application and you're deploying it on the cloud infrastructure, which has IaaS and the PaaS capabilities, to make it run as an effective SaaS, there is a gap that is involved. And what we do is bridge this gap, close this gap in a seamless manner such that all these layers of functionality that you require, right from embedding tenancy into your application to how it is managed, including the security, all the way to the business aspects such as the subscription management to the operational characteristics that is required, managing an application from an operations perspective to all the services to connecting to the cloud and managing it on the cloud. All these are actually multiple layers that are added as part of enhancing your application such that it can be delivered as SaaS. So this is exactly what we do as part of the SurPaaS platform, and covering the three aspects of our solution offering through SurPaaS is the ability to analyze applications, and then how we cloud enable the applications through the process of analysis of optimizing it to the cloud that you would like to deploy them, and then helping you migrate the applications to the cloud. And if desired and you want to deliver that as SaaS, providing you the technology to embed this automatically through SurPaaS transformer, and then getting this application now to be generated as a SaaS application that you can deploy and manage on the cloud. So covering all the three aspects of the technology that Corent provides by bringing the ease of use and the ease of methodology to very rapidly bring applications to the cloud and deliver them as SaaS. So with that, let me hand it over to Scott to take you through the rest of the presentations and the Q&A session. Thank you very much. Scott, please take over.
Thanks, Shafi. So the good news is that SurPaaS is now available on Azure. It's up there, it's running. It is in fact available as a SaaS application itself, so you can sign up and do that. It can be used as a demonstration platform for anybody on the Microsoft sales team can use that. For SurPaaS Analyzer is up there and running. The Corent support staff is available to help anybody from the Microsoft team or any other partners or SIs or managed service providers or HSPs to showcase how migration to Azure can work for prospect customers. There's even an option if people get into this and want to do it to have your own private label version of SurPaaS and SurPaaS Analyzer. If you're an HSP, MSP, or VAR, an SI that has a volume and wants to do some of those customizations of the knowledge base and pre-populate some of those things, like the way you add those additional services into the cost models for the business models. So lots of flexibility there in the way you get the service and its availability. You can contact Corent and we can showcase how to do any of these things. We've got a number of applications up there that we've got as a model applications that we can walk people through that show you different types of applications in different technologies, Java, .NET, and PHP apps, so you can look at what's appropriate for you, and show how they can be optimized and migrated to Azure. Next slide. All right, so we've come up with a special offer for webinar attendees or registrants of the webinar. You're eligible for a complimentary 1-hour guided analysis of any application of your choice from our portfolio of 35 or more sample applications. We'll walk you through SurPaaS Analyzer, show you how that can work for your organization, either to move an app or if you're a service provider working with other customers that are interested in migration, how you can use this as a way to bring those on board and do a number of different applications for them for different customers. And we'd be happy to walk you through that, and take you through it a little bit slower and show you some of the business aspects that we do, then how we work with you to offer this as a service. We'll include this in our thank you to anybody who is attending or registered for the webinar. All right. Now Q&A. Yes, one of the questions is, can this be made available to any of our partners? It's something that, yes, we can do that. It's running on Azure now, so any Microsoft partner can use it. They set it up, and it's a SaaS application, so they get their own account on the SurPaaS Analyzer, and they can do one or more applications, and they only see those, and their Microsoft Web can work with them, and they can work with us to do the analysis. Yeah, available to anyone in the Azure Marketplace? Yes. It's actually listed as an application in the Azure Marketplace because it's a SaaS application itself. It doesn't need to instantiate a whole other instance every time, like is the normal method for the Azure Marketplace. So we've just got a reference in the Azure Marketplace to say, contact us and we'll set you up as a SaaS customer on our SurPaaS or SurPaaS Analyzer. But it's listed there. Right. And yes, you can, someone's talking about a question about how this can be a roadmap for people that are doing migrations to the cloud, and we found that this is very useful for systems integrators or managed service providers who are working with enterprises that have a number of applications they want to migrate, and they want to be able to get an overview of them, prioritize them, and then tackle moving them onto Azure in a way that makes sense and that makes the process organized and well known and mapped out and modeled, and with the costs understood before they go.
Hey Scott, before you answer your next question, I'd like to speak a minute about the survey. So folks, I'd like to call your attention to the survey link that is in the IM window here. We do appreciate you taking a moment to fill it out. Click on the link, enter your email address, and then you can access the survey questions. Once you're in there, voting scale is on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the best. So if you've got some great information, or if you have some feedback on how we can make future events better for you, we'd love to hear from you. Be sure to click on the submit button at the bottom to ensure that your survey has been returned. And with that, Scott, I'll turn it back to you to keep going on those questions.
Okay, thanks, Debbie. One of the Microsoft folks asked if we can use this with our MSDN credits. I'm not. I don't think it's an MS application, so you can certainly use the Azure, and it's a cloud. We are happy to do POCs with proof of concept or overviews with people, and like I mentioned in the offer that we've got is we'll walk somebody through. So if you want to walk through as a Microsoft person, or bring your partner and walk them through this so they can get a better idea, we can certainly take you through that guided tour to see how all this works. And then we've got a couple of different options that we can give people in terms of trying this out. We have a sort of a proof of concept option, and then various plans that let you subscribe to SurPaaS Analyzer for doing one or more applications with some, depending on the level of number of things that you need to do. Any more questions? How do we receive a copy of the slides? Debbie, I think, is going to send around a link with that, and we can. There'll be the recording, and we can make the slides available too. So we'll figure that out. And just send us a query at info@corent.com, which is going to be in the thank you email, and we'll get that to you.
And then Scott, if Stephen wants to get to the slides, I don't know if Stephen, if you have this option available, click on the monitor icon at the bottom of your screen, and then click on attachments. Again, if you're using the web join, that might not be available.
Oh, right. Yeah, and yeah, because they're loaded into the Skype for Business thing. Yeah.
Correct.
Right. What about the BizSpark program? Can we use that credit to use SurPaaS? BizSpark is a Microsoft thing which will give you Azure resources, and you can use your Azure account to do the servers that you need to do this. If you're shifting things to the cloud, certainly you can use your BizSpark credits for that, not for the actual Corent SurPaaS licensing, though, subscriptions. All right. And someone just mentioned what you're mentioning, the PDF version of the slides is available on the webinar attachments. Yes.
Excellent, excellent. So looks like, Scott, looks like the questions are winding down. And we're right at time now, do you have any final words for our audience before we wrap up today's event?
Well, thank you very much for attending, everybody. We very much appreciate your time. We think this is a really good opportunity to work with Microsoft and Azure and bring this technology to people, because we think it'll really help them migrate to the cloud and start to enjoy the advantages that you get with a modern, robust cloud like Azure. So thanks, everyone.
All right, thanks, Scott. So ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's Partner Infopedia web conference. Again, thanks for joining. Partners, you're going to be able to get to the web conference replay on worldwide events within 48 hours. I'd like to extend a big thank you to our presenter team from Corent and to our Microsoft host, Jason. And thank you, audience, for logging in and joining us today.